From a polar bear stuck on a rock for several days that ended up falling off to a baby cub clearly in distress having its paw stuck in a trap, all the way to workers literally feeding a polar bear with their bare hands. Here are 6 times polar bears asked humans for help and kindness. Number 6. Check out this polar bear jumping on a man in Russia. The man literally takes his glove and taps the bear to get off of him. Here is one of the most interesting and controversial stories you will ever hear. This female polar bear was separated at a young age from its mother and was found on the remote island of the Northwest Territories of Russia. It came sniffing around a mining base and continued to act in an unusual behavior. The miners couldn't figure out what the polar bear was after. The men soon realized what the polar bear wanted. It was hungry, and without its mother, it couldn't learn how to hunt properly. The bear came to the miners' base almost every single day, and over the course of a few months, the miners were able to build a trust and connection with the bear. The men decided to feed the bear because it always looked exhausted and tired. The mutual trust between them grew, and the bear would come every day to eat. Their trust grew so much that the men started feeding the bear with their bare hands, showing just how strong the connection between them was. The bear was like a new dog. However, feeding the bear was actually illegal and against the law. It's also worth noting that this cub was abandoned at such a young age that it's unlikely that it would have been able to survive without the help of these miners. The workers had a choice to make. Do they continue to feed the bear or get help? They ended up contacting the Nature Conservancy. The men were able to lure the polar bear into a storage unit and sedate the bear with a dart. The rescue team had put together a large container to transport the polar bear. The bear was moved by helicopter, then by plane to the Moscow Zoo, where it was able to live a happy life. So here's the question. Do you think that the miners did the right thing? Do you think they should have kept the polar bear in the wild? What could have been some other options? Number 5. This starving polar bear approaches a man with a tin can stuck on her tongue, which clearly prevents it from eating. You can see the sadness and fear inside the polar bear's eyes, asking for help. This occurred in Dixon, Russia, as the 1-year-old female polar bear approached the man for help.
Пусти или что? У него уже челюсть застряла.
The man tries a few times to get the can off the polar bear's tongue, but it's wedged on there firmly and isn't sliding off. As the smart polar bear shows the man, the can was wedged onto the tongue by its lid, making it too difficult for the man to pull off himself.
Чё ты? Ты лапами своими меня не трогай.
The animal vets had to come out and sedate the animal and remove the can, ultimately saving her life. The polar bear was able to survive and was brought back out to its habitat, where a fresh supply of fish waited. Number 4. Unfortunately, a lot of times animals are in danger because of humans. A trap was set by poachers to try and capture a fox, but instead a young polar bear got its claws stuck inside. The mother polar bear and sibling remained close by, scared of what was going on. The mother is clearly concerned and even comes over, which prevents the men momentarily from saving the cub. The men have to think smart and fast. They fire multiple gunshots into the air, managing to chase the mother and cub away, which gives them the chance to try and remove the trap from the cub's paw. The polar bear's cry is sad to listen to, and the mother polar bear can clearly hear the cry as well. The men don't have much time. It takes a while, but they're eventually able to get the polar bear out of the trap. You can even see one man jumping up and down in excitement. The young polar bear didn't limp at all, which is an incredible sign. It rejoins its mother, and the video of them coming back together is heartwarming. The mother bear and her cubs scurry off, and it's exciting to see. Number 3. Once again, a polar bear is left to try and fend for itself. It's all alone and is clearly in need of some fast assistance. The mother of this little guy shown on the screen was killed by poachers, and this little dude's paws were hurt in the commotion. The little guy was first noticed by members of an environmental expedition group who had come to clear garbage off the Russian island Yamal.
Медвежонок был очень слаб, ранен, он пролежал больше 2 дней и даже не
As
сопротивлялся.
you can see, the bear can barely move, and it's estimated that it's been sitting there all alone for 2 days. The team jumped into action. They reached the bear and used a green tarp to quickly capture the bear. They brought a box over in order to transport the bear. Since there were no animal enclosures nearby, the men kept the polar bear, feeding it and giving it a safe environment for the time being. They caught fresh fish and gave it as much water as it needed. They ended up calling the authorities because this little guy clearly needed a new home. Without these brave men taking the animal in and sheltering it, the polar bear would have most certainly died. Eventually, it found its new home at the zoo. Once he's able to get stronger, healthier, and older, people will have to decide whether to keep the animal at the zoo or release it back into the wild. Number 2. Some native tribes in Alaska were given permission to hunt polar bears for food. A tribe member doing this killed a female polar bear, and little did he know that there was a young cub with it. He felt terrible and didn't know what to do. The cub would not survive long in the wild. The man traveled a long way to bring the little cub to the vet. The young polar bear was female, and the vet decided to name the youngster Callie. Callie was tiny, weighing just a few pounds and only being a few months old. Callie was moved to Anchorage Zoo, then moved to Buffalo Zoo, where she found a happy new home. Even though the mother polar bear was killed for food, the baby was able to survive and get the proper care it deserved. Number 1. We witness a polar bear that found itself stranded on a rock 9 meters from the summit. After spending several days in this intense situation, it became evident to the locals that the animal was unable to descend. They decided to seek help from a rescue team. However, the rescue operation didn't quite go as planned. Here's what happened. The rescuers took the necessary precautions, including preparing equipment, boats, and even a helicopter. Upon arriving at the scene, they administered a sedative dart to the bear to ensure it fell asleep. A flare was then fired above to signal the start of the rescue operation. Time was of the essence. While the bear was in a sedated state, the rescuers approached cautiously. They began securing ropes to safely bring the bear down. Unfortunately, things took an unexpected twist. The rope was too loose, leaving the bear hanging by one paw, 4 meters above the water. In an attempt to adjust, the situation worsened. The animal fell into the water, and the rescue attempt shifted into an operation to prevent the semi-conscious animal from drowning. The rescuers on the boat had to keep the bear's head above water while slowly bringing it to shore. Despite the challenges, luck was on the bear's side. It emerged from the ordeal unharmed and without a single scratch. Following a thorough examination, it was returned to its natural habitat. Thanks for watching Animal Rescue. If you enjoy seeing all types of content related to animal rescues, consider subscribing and turning on notifications to catch our weekly videos.